Same old trouble, villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same.
Thank you, Vandello, and welcome once again to Graphically Novel. My name is Josh Wasta, a.k.a. Fallout Fieri, and with me,
it's the last time,
as always,
okay,
is the man who does what he wants to do, says what he wants to say, lives how he wants to live, plays how he wants to play. My Uncle Fester.
Okay.
It's fair.
I was like, what the hell? Oh, okay, that's from the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That was probably the most tolerable out of all of them so far this season.
The least
Well,
cringy.
It's the last one.
The least
I'm not going to be
cringy.
nice to you anymore moving forward. This was season 4 only.
And with us, the lovely, the talented, our Morticia of the group, and her home decor tells us so.
Caramia.
The lovely and talented Ms. Jennifer Howland.
Thank you, Bear. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest. And today we have Phil Wasta. You might recognize the last name. He is related to Josh.
He's my brother. He's my real life Fester.
Welcome.
Well, okay.
Do you like those positioners switched? Because I have kids.
That's probably true. Yeah. I would be the Uncle Fester. You're right. Except for my flowing mane of hair.
I'll get you a light bulb that you can turn on with your mouth. It'd be
Nice.
perfect.
Awesome.
I wish we would have got one for that when we all dressed up that Halloween.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
For those who have not seen the pictures or who do not know us, Jenn and I generally will do Addams Family every year for Halloween, and we were
For the tricking and the treating.
yes, and we were graced. Bear shaved his head and did an
Completely
Uncle Fester
bicked it,
for us.
not just the usual like buzz
Right.
cut, just
Yeah.
like completely bicked it and went all out with the costume and everything.
So for this season, we instead of just kind of putting out the call asking who wants to come on the show, we hand chose, and there was no one else that I wanted for the Addams Family episode other than my brother. So Phil, I could finally get you on the show
Your
because
baby brother.
man, we grew up with this. Like,
Yeah.
this was, I mean, Angelica Houston in general was our mom, whether or not it was Morticia or the witches.
Yeah, the witches seems more appropriate now.
But, yeah, so as we do with everybody that comes on the show for the first time, give us a little bit of your background on comic books and that whole kind of world.
Okay. Well, I'm more of a general popular media person. I'm not focused on Marvel comics like Josh or
Preach on,
huh?
I said, preach on, brother.
or the more indie stuff like I know Jenn seems to have a flair for. I just grab all media, like sort of love everything and read as much as I can. And if I can't have access to it, then I just go through Wikipedia to fill in holes. So I don't know, I just sort of enjoy different aesthetics, different perspectives, different artistic ways of viewing things. And I went and got a theater degree before I went to law school. So I understand a bit about how they set tones and they do casting choices and how they, the general theory behind why they put people into roles instead of just, oh, this person looks like that. Well, that doesn't matter as much. Like Christopher Lloyd as Uncle Fester, if you looked at just the aesthetics of it, it doesn't match.
Right.
But the personality does. The personality matches. He did a fantastic job because there's this like malevolent energy. There's this constant hum of energy that you get from Christopher Lloyd that's very present in all of the media describing Uncle Fester.
Yeah, the biggest example of something like that comes to mind is how Anne Rice freaked her shit when they cast Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
as Lestat, and she was like, went very much on record being like, this is horrible, blah, blah. And then I remember when we got the DVD of the movie on the, or not the DVD, the VHS, because we're younger.
Before that.
Yeah. She had a section in the beginning of the VHS where she basically apologized.
Yeah.
And told everyone, this is fantastic.
Yeah, they gave her the test screenings. They brought Tom Cruise in, and I think they did the introduction scene with him and Brad Pitt, where Lestat, is sort of courting him And she was like, oh shit, I was wrong.
Yeah, but I'm sure that there were people like, I mean, we were too young at the time to really care, you know, but I'm sure there were people at the time, they're like, Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown as Fester, what are you doing?
Well, it's sort of a running gag in all film. Like every time that they come out with something that has an established character, and then later they bring in an actor that you're like, that person, like Heath Ledger for the Joker. Another great example of everybody was like, he's a pretty boy. He's done all of these roles where he's like this male lead pretty boy.
10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Knight's
Tale. You know,
The Patriot.
all of the, even The Patriot. He was there mostly for the aesthetic of, here's this very pretty, very virile young man cut down in his prime. That was what was supposed to pull you in. You get to see the love of his life. She burns in the church, like the whole thing. It's all about the aesthetic more than it is about his actual talent as an actor. And then the Joker happens and everybody goes, holy shit, this guy can really act. And then he's dead, and that's very sad. But like there's this theme, this running cycle in all of media where anytime that they make a casting choice and it seems against type, there's a very hard fight against it. And that's usually when people get their best performances, because they want to show that they can do the thing. Like all actors generally just want to be like, I can be anybody at any time.
And I want to show that I have range.
Exactly. Well, range, talent, you know, whatever you want to describe it as, that's the general like impetus that tends to get people to get those better performances.
Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo.
Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo. It's hard to say anything about Robin Williams though, because like that man was just so insanely talented.
Right. No, I completely agree. But you look at something like 1 Hour Photo where we're used to Robin Williams. Like when you hire Robin Williams, you're hiring, you know, all of his improvisation,
tangents,
all of his
and
energy.
And
he just explodes. And then you watch 1 Hour Photo and he is calm and he's
intense.
So well.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the intensity of, and I think that he was a brilliant choice for that, because you knew his explosiveness to see that role and just know that he's like a star ready to explode. Just like that, there's so much pressure and build up there in that quiet intensity.
And on that note, let's talk about Raul Julia. Because I mean, Phil and I grew up knowing who Raul Julia was because he's arguably one of the most famous Puerto Rican actors of that time. Yeah. And he was just brilliant when it came to a lot of the movies, Spanish movies especially, that our mom watched growing up. And then the Addams Family hit, and it was very much the aesthetic of our house. Growing up, we always kind of like
it's not visually, at least like the energy behind it. Like there's this quiet, constant joy in everything that the Addams have in their house. And then the house itself is a character.
Right.
Absolutely. And the embracing of the weird. I don't think there was anything too weird. Like the closest that I get is like, I think our dad was the only one that like hit that limit of that's too weird for me.
Well, but I think actually it's not embracing of the weird. It's showing a perspective of what normal is.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, it's showing you that what you think is normal is not normal for someone else.
Because the first thing, if you're watching the original Addams Family show, the first thing that they freak out about is when Pugsley decides he wants to be a scout.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. He wants to join the Boy Scouts.
He's going to join the Boy Scouts. They're like, where have we gone wrong with our children?
Right, exactly.
You know?
Well, and that's going back to Charles Addams. So I'm going to lay it out for the audience. It is not easy to read the Addams Family comics. And I don't say that like it is hard to get into or anything like that. It's very hard to find the Addams Family comics. Right. There are not, collections readily available. There have been 3 that I can find. 2 are out of print. And then there's the one that I had to get a physical copy for us, and I had to send a physical copy to Phil, which is great because it was around Christmas time anyway. So it was just a bonus present.
And it's fabulous. I knew of the comics. I knew of like the aesthetic and the vibe and everything kind of, but I hadn't read more than 5 of them. And the collection that you sent out with like 150 or whatever, it gives a lot of perspective to how the characters are actually grounded and gives a lot more. And it also has these little blurbs in there about like the original author and his reasoning behind naming the characters, and then the evolution of a couple of.
Because grounded becomes quite the pun when you're talking about Fester himself.
That's fair. That's fair. But you get to see why he made them the way that he made them. And actually, Fester is a fantastic example of like the evolution of the character, because Fester, the very first time that they ever put Fester in, he's not attached to any of the rest of the family. He's killing his dowdy wife, and it's not obvious. Like, it's not he's got a knife and he's stabbing her. It's very much intimated in the comic panel, and it really showcases the way that they sort of describe violence through all of the Addams Family comics. None of them are direct violent action. There's never anything on screen. It's all intimated. It's all implied. Fabulous.
Right.
Unless you've actually got someone's head in a vice, but that's for therapeutic purposes.
Right.
Right. And that's not violent.
Right.
And that's not.
And
that's not in the comics.
Right. And it's in the comics. It's not like Wednesday may have Pugsley's head in a guillotine.
Right.
However, it's not like she's standing there holding onto the string. What she is doing is it is a
exercise.
No. Elaborate setup where like she's got a blindfold on, she's got a bow and arrow, she's aiming at the rope that's holding the kid.
Right.
So it's like she probably won't chop his head off, but it's like it's play, it's fun, and so the violence is always redirected.
I'm forgetting, what is that called? A something device?
Rube Goldberg.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. For examples on this, watch any music video by OK Go. It is. All of them are 4+ minute long Rube Goldberg devices, and they're fantastic. But yeah, it's so you were talking about how this book has 150 panels, comics, cartoons. That is it. That's all he ever did was the 150. Starting in 1938, they were in the New Yorker. They were in the New Yorker all the way until 1988 when he died.
And the thing that I also thought was interesting that they wrote in the book is that only 75 of them were ever published.
Yep, yeah. Which you would think the media empire that the Addams Family became, it would be much more.
Like it would pull a revival or something. But again, like we mentioned earlier, the 91 reboot, when they came out and did the movie and it sparked then the cartoon series and then the other live action series out in Canada, it has a different tone than both the comic and the even the 60s TV show had.
Well, and for those who have never actually seen the Addams Family comic, the best way I could possibly describe it is a precursor to Family Circus, and it almost seems like it is a mockery of Family Circus, despite having been made before Family Circus was ever invented.
Yes.
It is a pre-mockery.
Well, and who knows? Maybe that was the impetus for the creation of Family Circus, where they're like, "Oh, we need to show normal people."
We need to do
conservative
this,
backlash. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I am. Thank you, there.
We need to do this, but without any of the humor.
No, we're gonna take Addams Family and we're gonna make it Norman Rockwell, and then we're going to make money off of it because that's what capitalism does.
That's true.
Oh, we're gonna make it Norman Rockwell, but boring, like boring Norman Rockwell.
Also fair. I happen to have a lot of Norman Rockwell, they're Rocks glasses. Let's put it that way. It's Rocks glasses with the Norman Rockwell paintings all over them. I have probably 24 at home. So yes, you are absolutely correct that it is boring Norman Rockwell.
And just also disclaimer, I always mess up in my mind Norman Rockwell and Thomas Kincaid because they're both the same in my mind. One just has lots of lights and the other one doesn't.
I don't know who Thomas Kincaid is, but I do.
He does those. He does picturesque paintings of landscapes, buildings. Yeah. So a lot of
whereas
stuff.
Rockwell was more people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
See, I always mess up Norman Rockwell and Norman Osborn. only ones that were Goblin.
No.
And now we get back to his focus is Marvel.
Disbelieve. Disbelieve. You do
Make your
not.
Will save.
You do not mix those up.
Make your will save. You've been drinking, so you've got a -2 penalty.
I've come to you, Spider-Man, to paint the
lights on your street.
I've come to enforce Christian values.
And your street light will look so pretty.
Yeah, that's
This goblin bomb.
that's actually a lot scarier than Norman Osborn has been for many years. So when talking about the Addams Family, Phil, you brought this up a little bit. The Addams Family has sparked 3 live-action TV shows, 1 Halloween special, a cartoon, a very famous that we watched.
Soon to be a second cartoon.
Well, the movie doesn't.
No, I'm not talking about the movie. There was a cartoon that came out that was a spin-off of Scooby-Doo in the 70s, and it was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
The
And that lasted
crossover.
2 seasons. Yeah.
It was the crossover with Scooby-Doo, because yes, it was part of the new Scooby-Doo movies, and then had its own. That actually the cast of the
TV
Addams Family
show,
TV show were
Yeah.
And can I say I hate the art. I hate that art.
Hanna-Barbera art.
Yes, I don't hate
Him having a
Hanna-Barbera art in general, but the Addams Family in the Hanna-Barbera universe was so bad.
Well, and actually, let's stop and talk about that, because the art in the Hanna-Barbera, they were trying to make them look more like the comic strip Addams Family, like almost a hybrid between what John Astin actually looks like and the comic, because the comic book Gomez, it looks nothing like John Astin or Raul Julia. He's a short, fat dude, with he's still got the pencil stash. But yeah, it's they're very, very different aesthetics. Also,
but speaking of which, like if we go to the animated that we covered, the animation that they did for all of the individual characters was spot on to the comics.
Yes, to the comics, not to the actors that you're used to.
Oh yeah, absolutely not to the live action at all. But I was really impressed, because I had flipped through the book, and kind of skimmed through and read a few things here and there, and then sat down to watch the animated movie and was just blown away at how accurate to the comics they were.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, so excuse me. So there are a lot of references there. Like Wednesday animated in the comic looks like a hangman's noose. Like her head is in the shape of a hangman's noose. There are lots of kind of subtle references there in that original art style that I think is very clever and I like a lot.
I was entertained that they kept going through different philosophers for the name of the octopus.
Yes.
Well, yeah, Aristotle is usually what it is. I think that's what it is in the original.
Archimedes.
Archimedes
is the one in the TV series.
Yeah.
And then in the animated, they call it was actually Wednesday's octopus, and it was Socrates.
Right, which is great. So moving from there were 3 live action movies. There were 2 with Raul Julia and Angelica Houston, and then there was the third one that I tried to find streaming. You can't even buy it on Vudu or Amazon.
So bad. It's so bad. And it's so sad, because Tim Curry is Gomez, and honestly, if you're gonna recast like around that time, and you want somebody who has that kooky aesthetic and brings the energy and passion that you need for Gomez, because at least that's the rebranding that they've done, just this energy and this passion. You think of Tim Curry, you really do, and it
and I wanted to watch it. I was willing to put down money to watch it because Tim Curry, but also Daryl Hannah as Morticia.
Yes.
And from what I read, she was super excited to basically do something that was not Daryl Hannah.
Right.
So she wanted to jump into that.
When did that movie come out?
It was direct to
but
video,
and it was like
in late 90s. Yeah, late 90s.
I'm looking it up right now.
I have to say, and I'm very, very sad that you weren't able to get it, because I'm pretty sure that I've only seen clips from it and I have not seen it. And that makes me sad as a fan of the Addams Family.
I'm sure
1998
on
there you go.
eBay or Amazon.
You
might not be able to stream it, but you should
we'll be looking
an
for
actual
it.
disc.
We'll be looking for it.
We will find it.
But it also as the villain, because they do this a lot, like it's the general aesthetic of the Addams Family, of having normal people come in and sort of invade their space. And the plot in this one is actually different, where the Addams Family is going out and seeking other families. And so, of course, as the straight man, they had to pick somebody who looked as normal as possible, but was evil as shit. So Ed Begley Jr., perfect.
Oh. Yeah. We need an evil white man.
Because he is like, in my mind, he is the Californian granola eating Birkenstock wearing guy.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
And he didn't,
but he's a good actor,
Yeah.
so he could play that. But in my mind, that actor isn't like, oh yeah, totally.
I look perfectly innocent at all times, and then you can see that thing behind
I
his
thought
head.
you were going to say, I look perfectly Aryan at all times.
Have someone call me, trial calling me. So in addition to the 3 live action movies, there were 6 video games.
Oh, and the first one for, I think it was Super NES, Fester's Quest.
Fester's Quest was for the original NES.
Oh, was it original NES?
Phil and I played a bunch of it.
Oh, it was like the learning curve in the very beginning was so freaking hard. But then, like, once you got past that, like the game got so much easier.
Yeah, but yeah, 6 total video games. The newest video game being actually an app for your phone called Addams Family Mystery Mansion. Which, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, but it's fun. But it's also based off of the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
So the cartoon movie.
The newest
one.
one.
Before we get to the cartoon movie, there's one more thing I want to mention. I just sent it to you last night, Phil, and that is the musical,
yes,
the Broadway musical.
Nathan Lane, Baby
Nathan
Newworth.
Lane as Gomez, BB Newworth as
Morticia,
and Krista Rodriguez as Wednesday, who we know Krista Rodriguez from one very special thing that we're still angry that Netflix canceled called Daybreak. She was Ms. Crumble.
Oh my God, yeah.
Which to our audience, if you have not watched Daybreak, it is phenomenal.
I
haven't seen Daybreak either.
It's all good. Me, no. So I was trying to. You sent me the link for the Spotify list, but I couldn't get into Spotify for whatever reason. So I started going through YouTube videos to find the songs, and they performed on the Letterman show, and they did What's It Take to Be an Addams or whatever. And so
when you're an Addams,
they had the whole cast up there doing it with a full dance routine around them, so you get to see it. It was fabulous. But that is, again, like, Nathan Lane as Gomez is going to change the entire dynamic of everything else that you do, because there's no way that you can get that serious intensity that you expect from Gomez at points. It's not Nathan Lane. Like, it's not who he is as an actor. He always goes to humor as his reflection. So Babe Newworth, instead of what I think would have been perfect, which is if she could have brought in the same sort of muted tone and facade that she had as Lilith in Frasier and in Cheers, would have been perfect. But even in that very short song, you see her smiling and joking and laughing, and it's not the same Morticia that you would expect that person to do.
Right. Well, and the theme of the musical is actually really, really pretty awesome, because it's Wednesday is 19 years old and is in love and is bringing a normal boy home to meet the family.
Wednesday snags a normie.
Yes. And so a lot of it is about, again, that central theme when Pugsley wants to join the Scouts in the first TV episode of Where Did We Go Wrong? And as a father, Phil, there's a song called Happy Sad that if you didn't find it, fucking find that song, because it's all about how Gomez for his daughter is so happy while also being sad. And when you talk about Nathan Lane and how he always goes to humor, that song has such a back and forth, because he does get through the fact that he has to give his daughter away. He has to give up, this person he raised, this person he did all of these things with, but he has to be happy for her. He has no choice, but he also has to be sad. And it's really good. And it's Nathan Lane in a performance that I've never seen it performed. I've only heard it, but through his voice, you can just hear the extremes of what that situation would do to a father.
Again, I'm more generally media. It's very similar theme execution to Hotel Transylvania, which is an Adam Sandler animated movie. And that's the central theme, is he's a vampire and his vampire daughter falls in love with a regular dude.
I have not seen any of the Hotel Transylvanians. I have heard that they're very good.
Yeah, I saw the first one, and they are good. And you're right, there is a correlation there. I mean, it's parenting. I mean, it's fairly universal.
But again, we also come back to the Addams Family like the driving theme behind them is acceptance and love in a non-traditional way. And that's really that's the central theme, is that they accept and love their children in a very positive, in a very nurturing way that the rest of society does not, I don't know, just doesn't
understand.
Follow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, which is funny because that brings it back to our family. Because when we've talked about this, both of us have brought people home, and Crystal has as well, our sister has as well, have brought people home that just don't get the dynamic, because we are loud, we are boisterous, we very much do not hide our feelings. We're not really those types of people. I mean, some of us use tact, some do not, but it is very much, by the end of the evening, everything is on the table.
By the end of the evening, your mother has her hands in the air,
yelling, "What do you want, Bear?
What do you want, Bear? Tell me what you want."
Bear has been adopted.
And me going, Carmen, more than anything, I just want this moment to be over.
Fair. But it's also this, it's a very loving, very engaging, very energetic at times, passionate, always. But it's a very loving attempt to be a positive support network. And that's generally.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. And I think that the real thrust of the comparison is that from an outsider's perspective, it doesn't seem like that's the case.
It doesn't seem healthy.
Well, it doesn't. No, it doesn't seem like that's the case, that there is acceptance, that there is.
But I think usually what you're seeing in a lot of the visuals that you get is the fact that they're walking in and they think the environment is unsafe. And because they think the environment is unsafe, they are paying zero attention to the actual interaction.
Wait, are we talking about our family, or are we talking about the Addams Family?
Yes.
How many suns do you need on a wall? What are they worshipping?
But also,
what are these masks? Oh yeah, that's the afternoon that my mother wrapped our heads in plaster of Paris and stuck.
So she literally put our faces on the wall. Yeah.
Right, and but wasn't that dangerous? Well, you can see where she poked nostril holes, so we could at least breathe.
There were straws up there. We could breathe.
But
some people just aren't into art.
I think in both cases, outsiders are not willing to look deeper, So they see an environment that is not something they know or they're comfortable with or they think is safe. They're not familiar with how that family expresses care, love, support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Anything to add,
Phil?
No,
he's like, oh yeah, care, love, support. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Totally had that growing
I see it.
up.
I'm just also laughing then at the conversation, that because then me and Josh went into this conversation. Like, if you don't understand the dynamic of the conversation and the way that we talk to each other, you don't see that sometimes, like, I made a comment to Josh and it was 100%, 1,000 like yelling and whatever in text, and then I was trying to do a similar to Jenn, and I was like, oh no, that's too much, and so I toned it what I thought way down, and still pissed Jenn off because she does not understand.
You did not piss me off. And thanks for trying to mitigate there, Josh. Poorly,
it
by
just
the
seemed
way.
to come out of nowhere. I understood it, but I did not have my phone near me. Phil was listening to some of our past episodes to get ready. And Phil, do you want to make the correction now, like in the way that you sent it? Like, what did we forget in our Umbrella Academy episode?
So here is the thing. He was like, hey, here's a thing that I think would have been a good point in this episode. And I was just like, yeah, well, we look to our guests to bring up things like that.
Fair. Okay.
So you know what? I appreciate your, and this is actually, I want to say one thing. When I first met your entire immediate family, I stepped back and I didn't engage. I watched interactions.
Oh, that was at my birthday party.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I watched interactions, which may have not.
Oh, that was actually when we met. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
We
So-
were instantly friends.
We were. And it may not have given an impression of who I actually am, but it actually does, because this is what I do. I observe and then I interact. And so once I understood the dynamic person to person, I was like, oh yeah, totally into that. Gonna jump right in. But that first night, all I did was watch.
Right, which was very uncharacteristic
Of who?
of you.
No, it's
well,
not.
I mean, for people that know you.
Right. I wasn't behaving in a manner that was characteristic for myself. Gotcha.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you were walking into a big party of a mess of people. You have no idea who the hell they are.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
There were
not
so many circumstances around that party that were both awesome and crazy.
Yes.
What is it now? 8 years later? Almost.
Is
8
it
years
only
later.
8 years?
Yeah, 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
So almost 8 years later.
We've known each other forever.
So Phil, you
Cheers.
you have a chance to set the record straight. What did we forget in our
Okay,
Umbrella Academy
So
episode?
in your Umbrella Academy episode, you talk, and there's literally like a 1 second throwaway line where you're like, oh yeah, the author's fairly new, and because of that, he was probably reticent to really engage in trying to lengthen the storyline to get these plot points and get the character development that he has, that they were able to then do in the show. The author is the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. He does not give a shit about money at this point. He wanted to write a story, and he wrote the exact story that he
as I
wanted.
recall, we pretty much avoided that the whole
did.
episode.
We stepped
that he was,
around it. All of
Yeah.
us had it in our notes.
yeah,
Yes.
everybody,
And at no
everybody,
point did we
literally.
ever say it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Why? But okay, but how can you have that episode and you're talking about the greater meta plot of everything between the comic and
I think I
and
even
not
said-
mention the fact that this guy, the reason that he didn't is because he doesn't give a fuck.
I don't think that's the reason, Phil.
I
don't think that's the
Jen's right.
reason.
That's not the reason.
I think the reason is he is the lead singer of My Chemical Romance and had the opportunity to write a comic, and he did, and he was shit at it. So he did a pretty good job based on he was shit at it and has gotten better.
Right.
Okay.
Because the Umbrella Academy does get better. And we did discuss it a little bit because the comic that we did for Doom Patrol, also written by Gerard Way.
And
Right.
fucking amazing.
Yes.
Right.
As I said,
got so
got
much
better.
better.
So yeah, I mean, the fact that he's the lead singer of My Chemical Romance gave him the opportunity to do something
Right.
that he was
Right.
interested in. Didn't necessarily mean that he did a so-so job because he didn't need the money. Maybe he did a so-so job because that was not
He
a
was getting
media.
money.
Yeah,
Because
it
it
was
was
a
just-
media he wasn't familiar with.
Listen, everyone should feel brave enough to go out there and fail at something new.
Absolutely.
It's like
That's-
he wanted to go out. He had this idea in his head for a story that was a comic book. He
Yeah.
wanted to do it. He went out there and did it. Was it great? No.
So
Did it turn into something better? Yes.
keep in mind that I did not read what you put on Jen. But I read what you put on mine that I didn't answer right away. And that is, in all caps, how do you do a show about this graphic novel and not know that the author is a famous musician? Link to the Wikipedia article on Gerard Way. My Chemical Romance, 3 question marks, all caps. Link to Welcome to the Black Parade music video. Link to Helena music video.
Well,
That's
and
how we communicate.
It is.
I didn't
Well-
do that to Jen.
aside from that, that is actually an excellent point. The fact, like the Black Parade that My Chemical Romance did, absolutely is a great springboard for the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is this going to turn into one of
Also
those, like,
Helena.
you start watching, Wizard of Oz with Dark Side of the Moon, but you're going to do...
No, I
No.
don't think so. but I see the creative progression.
Right.
I just remember
We're
that
going to
one
go
time.
back to movies and TV series with one musical artist, and it's just going to be Umbrella Academy. All the music's done by My Chemical Romance.
Well, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that because we are now watching a bunch of stuff for Batman. And
Yeah,
I
right?
Just watched the original Tim Burton Batman.
Tim Burton
That
Batman.
had an
was all
entirely
done by
Prince
Prince.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
I owned that soundtrack when I was a kid.
Everyone.
Let's not spoil that, though.
Everyone.
Nope.
There are
Nope.
things coming. There are things
Which
in the
would
world.
actually, there's at least one part that is really weird but works, is that Helena was actually written by Gerard Way when his grandmother passed. That's her name. And so that's the mourning feeling from that song would work really well for the scene where they, bury the father, but it also has none of the emotion that you really want in that.
I was
Right.
going to say, did Gerard Way hate his grandmother?
He's
Okay,
getting a fight with
anyway.
all of his siblings over the grave.
Gerard, why did you bury me?
Back to the Addams Family.
Right.
Right.
So we all, for the first time for this show, watched the Addams Family cartoon that came out in
2019.
So good. So good.
Phil, you're our guest. What'd you think of it?
The art was spot on, and the thing that I liked most about it was kind of a mix of the original art, the original aesthetics. There's very much this gloomy feel, and the house, which it really, and they talk about that in the collection that you got. The house itself, the architecture, the way that it frames everything is really a character in itself. And in this time, they made it a full-on character. Like, they gave it its own spirit, its own influence over the thing. I really appreciated that. But they also mixed in, I think, a lot of the energy that Raul Julia brought in the 1991 reboot into the characters. Because, Gomez is this carefree, energetic guy, but it's not like the 60s TV show where he's goofy and frivolous with it. It's very directed, it's very impassioned, but it's also very focused. And it talks a lot about the themes that you were saying earlier, a father coming to grips with both the changing of the times and his inefficacy at being a father. I really enjoyed it. I thought they did it perfectly. Also, I can't remember the name of the movie now, but there's a part in the Addams Family movie where Wednesday brings frogs back to life and then does the thing that Donald Sutherland did.
Body Snatchers.
Body Snatchers, yeah. It was just so perfect. Like, the whole scene was just fabulous.
There are a ton of Easter eggs in that movie that
They
I
throw
really,
so
really
many.
enjoyed. But yes.
Easter eggs, the throwbacks, if you go into Lurch lighting matches off of his nose, I want to say it was like episode 2 of the original Black and White, where Gomez walks over and lights a match off of Lurch's cheek or something
Right.
like that.
Yes.
Yep.
Morticia's African Strangler, the octopus again,
Kitty.
they're
Kitty. Yeah.
Yeah, Kitty. The callbacks to the original TV series are just all over the place.
It's also easy to see when something is done to be like, I'm going to make a quick buck based on this.
And when somebody cares about the material.
The Power Rangers movie, the Avatar The Last Airbender movie, all these things that didn't really understand what they were coming from. And then something like this where you could tell that they did a lot of research.
Yeah, tons.
It's kind of like the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool movie.
Yes.
You can tell that they loved the source material and wanted to be as faithful to it as they could. So they brought a lot of the things that you don't see in anything else back.
Well, there's yes, we're going to divert again, but a good example of that is people that I know that I'm a huge Gambit fan. And for a long time, Channing Tatum was attached to the Gambit movie that has supposed to have been happening for 15 years and at this point is dead. But people were like, well, what do you think about Channing Tatum? So
We were
looking at
talking
the
about
cartoon, the cartoon movie, Oscar Isaac, they brought him back. They brought him in as Gomez because ever since Raul Julia, the idea of Gomez has completely been changed to Latinx. It doesn't necessarily have to be Puerto Rican.
He wasn't the original.
Well, yes.
Gomez, there's no
Yes.
other...
There is no other
culture that
There's no other culture that has that name.
that has Gomez as a name other than a very deeply Latin, and that's what he was supposed to be.
Right. But you look at the original show and John John Astin isn't exactly a pioneer of Latin acting.
Well, in the
1960s white
yeah,
TV
right.
culture,
I
so
mean-
you're
I
not
get it.
going to have that.
Yeah.
I get it, but Raul Julia brings it back, you know, and,
Yeah.
and really, they're like, okay, well, if we're gonna do a Latin actor, fuck it, you know, let's do Raul goddamn Julia, who, like, the man could not have an accent. I've never seen him in anything where he does not have a very prominent Puerto Rican accent.
Let's put a pin in this for when we cast the movie, because I will
All
come
right.
back to this.
All right, Charlize Theron doing the voice of Morticia.
Charlize Theron in general, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how do you not love the woman?
Yeah.
I don't know that
I
she's
don't
done
know.
anything that I haven't enjoyed.
I think my love of the woman has really been amplified by doing this show.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she is so involved in so many comic book
She is,
properties.
she is such a she. I don't know if she's an actual nerd. I'm gonna do some digging.
I'm pretty sure she's an actual nerd.
Like, if
but
she's
there is
an
one
actual
thing.
nerd or a closet nerd, but
There is one thing she did, and it's not her fault, that I just can't get behind.
if you say devil's advocate, we're
Aeon
fighting.
Flux.
Aeon Flux.
I'm not gonna fight with you over that.
Yeah.
No, you need money. That was money. That was a money grab. That's all that was.
Yeah.
That is
And she
an
was-
example of not understanding the source
Yeah,
material.
exactly.
Yes.
And that wasn't her fault.
Right.
In fact, she
No.
probably signed on saying, hell yes.
Yeah,
This
and
is
then
fucking
she got
amazing.
the script, and then
Yeah.
she went, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh."
Well, you've got to remember also that generally, if you look at her characters, if you look at the throughput that she puts into all of her characters, there's a very prominent feminist, strong, like core strength that she has as a throughput through all of her characters.
I mean, Mad
And
Max.
you're not going to get that in general media. Like, you're not going to have the ability because we live in a very misogynistic society, you're not going to get the ability for them
I'm
to
going to
display
say-
that level of femininity and
I'm
power.
going to say had.
Yes.
That's
I'm
fair.
going to say had, because I believe it's changing, and it has changed.
Look
but
at Atomic Blonde.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that you are spot on for the time that especially that movie happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. The 90s sucked ass for women.
But the
Yeah.
whole cast of this,
Right. So
animated-
Chloe Grace Moretz, which I'm going to use, voiced Wednesday.
Mhm.
You may not recognize the name. Jen certainly doesn't, because there's a movie that she still needs to watch that was her launching off. That is Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
And
we're getting there. It's on the list for later.
it is on the list. I would love to get there because, oh my God, your love of action movies.
You know, you know,
And Nick Cage.
Yeah.
you know how Elton Brown does the whole, but that's another show.
Yeah.
We're just gonna do that's on the list.
We call that Stay Tuned.
Yeah. Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, well, that's
I'm
what
just
I've
gonna
done
call
in
it.
the past.
I'm just gonna call it. It's on the list.
It's on the list?
I'm
Okay.
taking it. I'm taking it over. It's
I'm
on
with
the
you there.
list.
It's on the list.
yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Finn Wolfhard is Pugsley, who we are just starting to love because we are way behind the 8 ball and we are still on the first season of Stranger Things.
All right.
Yeah.
And I just have to break in and so we are creating a cast, our ideal cast for the show. And that's who I chose as Pugsley before I knew that he voiced Pugsley in the animated.
Nice.
Yeah.
and that he's a skinny little kid.
Yeah.
Well,
Whatever,
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
That's true. We can do tons of things with makeup.
Well, also, it could be a double entendre. Here's Pugsley, and he's this toothpick of a child.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Somebody who I love anything that he's in. I love his humor. I love his voice. And
Snoop
that's
Dogg?
Nick Kroll.
Oh.
Oh,
Jay
yeah.
Custer.
Yeah, that's on brand for you.
Yeah. If you've not seen Big Mouth or The League is the last show I ever thought I would like because it's about a fantasy football league.
Yes, same here.
And
No,
it's so goddamn funny.
it's a guilty pleasure of mine as well. And I don't remember who introduced me to it. Was
Talk
it you?
about
It might have been,
cringy humor. I can't
Yes.
watch it.
Yeah.
But this is actually the cringy humor that I can stand because some of these people are just so dumb that you're just like,
Because they're
It's
all
not-
they're
it's
all
not even a
horrible
cringe.
people, and it's all
Yeah.
cringy on them.
Yeah.
Like they
Well,
deserve
and that's
what
Schitt's
happens.
Creek.
Yeah.
That's Schitt's Creek.
Oh,
They
Okay.
deserve
Yeah.
what happens to them.
Yeah.
So, and they also deserve Jason Mantzoukas, who has no consequences at all whenever he shows up, and he's fantastic.
And that's how
The-
he is in
Lenny Kenta.
anything he is ever in, period.
Yeah.
That's and they so one of the things that I've enjoyed, not necessarily for the host, but for the content of it, is comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yes.
And Seth
Yes.
Rogen does an episode with Jerry, and in it he describes the type of humor that he really appreciates and what he likes to see. And what he says is that you can have jokes about people not understanding social norms, but they don't, that's the only way that you can punch down.
Yes.
Is when somebody doesn't understand the social norm, and that's why they're doing it. It's not intentional. That's the cringy humor that I'm okay with. But when it's like cringy humor, like they should know, or they haven't been established to not know that this thing that they're doing is deeply insulting and wrong, it hits differently for me.
So
and I
like
don't
Steve
appreciate it.
Carell in The Office.
Yeah.
I will never watch The Office. There's
yeah.
no one that on this earth that can convince me to watch The Office.
Right. And I understand that because I was that way too. And other elements brought me into it when I was forced to watch it night after night working at a video store. I mean, I get it. You have to get over that certain hump. And you don't necessarily have to. Like, if that's not your deal, that's not your deal. But there are things like that we've discussed, like Schitt's Creek, where read the synopsis of the first season where that happens and then just watch the characters develop. I guess that's where I can get over that is if they're introduced in that way, but there is an arc.
And then they grow past it.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you at some point see them look at the past and go, oh, that yes. I'll buy into that.
That is exactly what Schitt's Creek is.
If they have that payoff, then it's worth it. Yep. But yeah.
So just running down the rest of the list of the kind of the side characters. I mean, the cast of this cartoon
has a
holy
lot
shit.
I mean,
Bette
it has a
Midler's
lot
grandma.
Of yeah.
We got Allison Janney and Martin Short. Marty.
And they have him in there for about a minute and a half.
Yeah. Catherine O'Hara, Titus Burgess. If he just could have done the Pinot song.
Come on. Snoop as Cousin It.
Yep.
So you get Snoop Dogg. It's kind of like
all he had to do was get high and mumble into a microphone.
Right.
Like
no, because he sings. He sings at the entrance when he drives in.
He does. Yes, yeah, that's true. Does. But still, like,
but it's also
he was high for that too, though.
It's also the idea of getting like Vin Diesel to do Groot,
right?
You know,
yep.
I am Groot, like in different influence. You know, it's the same thing. You get Snoop Dogg,
right?
And then Snoop, you're like, or you Cousin It. And he's like, sweet.
or you get Brad Pitt to do a cameo in Deadpool 2 for literally a frame.
Like a frame. That's
we just need your
right
face.
Before I ate a power line.
Well, while eating a power line,
yeah.
But yes.
While eating a power line. Yeah.
But yeah, it was. So the sequel is almost done. It comes out October 1st of this year of 2021. So yay. But this could be the next incarnation of how people will understand the Addams Family. Barry, you've already said that you enjoyed it. Jen, did you have any thoughts on the first time we watched the cartoon?
No, I really liked it. I thought it was really well done, and it was the setup of the storyline was very much exactly what the cartoons, the older
it was a
movies.
TV show plot. Is the thing that came to my mind. It was very much set up like the TV show.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
If the TV show could have evolved to show Lurch as a tenor.
Yes.
Because I took that snap, I snapped that shot and like put it on my Snapchat, I put it on my Facebook. I was just like, oh my God. Yes, I have a Snapchat.
I don't even have a Snapchat.
I have a Snapchat.
Okay.
Never knew that about you.
Oh my God.
Listen, we're 20 years strong and we're still learning.
We're still learning. Yes, we're still learning.
So
Jen's just like, okay, the other wife is here. By other wife, she means Josh, but yeah.
Right.
So, Phil, I know that there are actually both of our wives have holes in
both
pop
of our
culture.
Wives.
Both of our Phil and
oh, okay. I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
We're fine.
Happening
Jen.
now.
We know. We understand these things,
but we have both have had discussions on there are certain periods that have holes. Jen is generally the mid to late 90s or the
The
mid to late-
90s.
Yeah, the 90s.
early to bed.
Karen, your wife, has just pop culture pulls in general. Yeah. Did you watch the Addams Family cartoon with your family, with your girls? And
No, I wasn't sure of the themes or anything. And also the kids, I don't want to, if I'm trying to understand something, I don't want to have children screaming that they don't want to watch the thing. So I wanted to make sure that it would be something that they would like before I tried having them watch it. So
okay, do your girls or your wife have like any idea of the Addams Family in general?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's less of that, and it's more that I haven't watched. Well, obviously I can't watch the 91 movie with the 5-year-old and the 9-year-old. It's just not. It's going to, like, I'm trying to remember which movie it was that we tried watching. They were like, nope, that's too scary, I'm out, and they just left the room. And I was like, what?
Gremlins.
No, Gremlins with my 5-year-old. Thanks.
It's a PG movie.
Well, Karen, what was the name of that movie that Cassie said was too scary for her and she wouldn't even watch it? And it was like a Miyazaki level movie. And we were like, what? Spirited Away. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I can understand that. There are the wolf parts and some of the other things. There's some, yeah.
No, you're thinking of Princess Mononoke. Spirited Away is the one with the spirit that gives out gold and eats people.
Yeah, that's fucking scary. Yeah. What the mean?
But it's all been animated, so it shouldn't be scary. Children should like it.
But she also watched all of the other Mononoke movies, and she enjoyed pretty much all of them. Like, I
know we watched Castle in the Sky.
Castle in the Sky. She enjoyed
Moving Castle.
Owl's Moving Castle. And
but she
Castle
wasn't born then.
Oh, that's true.
No, but she's watched all of those and she loves them. She also watched the one with the giant bugs, and that's one of her favorite movies. What is that? Is that Castle in the Sky? No. Nazca.
I don't know.
Which, if you haven't seen, you need to see Nazca. It's really good.
The last one of those that I saw was Ponyo, and I really enjoyed it.
Ponyo's, I mean, that one is him just playing with the art more than anything, but which is gorgeous because it's Miyazaki. But no, Nazca is a really intense but really good movie, and it has Patrick Stewart as the main male support. So, like, what's not that?
Nice. All right. Well, let's get to the last piece. Before this, so yesterday it was announced that Tim Burton has signed on with Netflix to make a new live-action Addams Family show, and and it will be called Wednesday. So we'll focus on Wednesday Addams. I sent to all of you to get a cast together with Burton directing, so you have to kind of keep that in mind, that it will be the gothiest gotha that has ever gothed on screen.
No. You just said that to you in front of your wife.
I did. So let's start with you, Phil.
I mean, I wrote out, well, before that, you also said, hey, if you were going to cast this, you should just write up sort of your dream cast. And so I took my cast, if it was the original comic or more of a faithful, thing to the 91 reboot. And then I wrote one that I've marked as TFB for Tim fucking Burton, because
nice.
Because he deserves a middle name in quotes.
Yeah, kind of. Because I feel like a lot of anything related to goth is just sort of thrown at Tim Burton because, like, oh, he'll be the perfect director for this because it's gothy. And it's like, no, just don't. Anyway, so the one that I wrote up for Wednesday, with the idea being that it would be set later, like, because Christina Ricci is now the same age that Angelica Houston was during the 1991 movie.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I kept Christina Ricci as Wednesday, because why wouldn't you? I went with Joaquin Almeida for Gomez, because we don't have Raul Julia anymore. And if you're not familiar with the name, I'm trying to remember what else he's been in. Josh knows him from Fast 5, but beyond that, he was also where's the other one that I definitely remembered him from? And of course, my head isn't working. Anyway, so I'm going to continue to... Mask of Zorro, he was General Santa Ana. In Desperado, he was Bucho. He was the brother, the main...
There you go.
That guy. So I thought that he would be perfect. He has the same sort of quiet intensity and energy that he can bring to it. But now that we're talking about 20 years later, Gomez, he wouldn't have the same impact, I think. So I figured that would work. I wanted to go with Angelica Houston, but I haven't seen her in anything recently, so I don't know that she would have the same energy, but Babe Newirth is right there, so there's no reason not to use her. And then for Pugsley, I was thinking for a while, you need somebody who has this sort of, because the one thing that I didn't like, once I read the original source material, the one thing that I really didn't like about the 1991 reboot is what they sort of chose the direction that they went with for Pugsley, because instead of making him like a sinister, vicious, calculating person like he is in the original comics, they sort of made him a stooge to Wednesday, and that was
they made him a pal, is what they made him.
Yeah, he was just something for her to act off of instead of having an actual character himself.
But I think a lot of that was actually probably pulled from the black and white series.
Correct.
Because he really, they did not portray him as very intelligent at all.
Well, and I think that in the 60s series, because in parallel to the Addams Family, there was the Munsters.
Yes.
And it was a family similar to the Addams, where they had one person in the family who was quote unquote normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I felt like what they were trying to do in the 60s series is they made Pugsley, he was trying to be like the rest of the family, but he was actually more quote unquote normal.
Oh, which is what the Boy Scouts think.
Yeah. And he looked more normal. Even though he was trying to do things he wasn't quite at the level of, say, Wednesday.
He's the only one who was blonde.
Well, yes and no. Yes. Like Marilyn in the Munsters. Sorry.
Oh, I was hoping we could avoid talking about the Munsters.
No, we weren't going to avoid talking about the Munsters.
Can't.
Why wouldn't you?
Anyway, continue.
But then, for the rest of the family, it became really difficult for me to think of who would work for an older Fester.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he's already at that point established as being a bit older than Gomez. And who do you have that's like essentially in their 70s right now or 80s that has that same sort of energy that Christopher Lloyd brought to the performance? I mean, Christopher Lloyd might work, but everything that I've seen him in now, he's distinctly muted as to what he used to be. So I don't really have a good place. And then for a throwaway, I put Adam Driver as Lurch, because why not?
I like it. Son of Lurch.
Yeah.
Son of Lurch.
Well, his his work in the Star Wars.
Yeah.
The
franchise. Franchise. I was searching for a word because we've gone beyond like it's a franchise.
Here's $20. Go see a Star Wars.
Yeah, go see a Star Wars.
Oh my God! Thank you
with
for
a
that
drink.
reference. Thank you for that reference. Oh.
All right. So, Phil, any other?
Oh, and then I have whole lists for if Tim Burton was going to redo the Addams Family from scratch, right? Yeah. That list is Johnny Depp as Gomez, because it's Tim fucking Burton.
Because it's Tim fucking Burton, yeah.
But Morticia, I went with Sophie Turner because it just made sense.
Interesting. Okay.
Have you seen the pictures of her and her husband? Yeah.
So,
perfect.
So Sophie Turner instead of what's her name? Fight Club and
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
No, she cannot be Morticia. I mean,
but
she was.
They also divorced,
Burton,
so she's not casting her anymore.
What's that?
They divorced, so he's not casting her anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No. Okay. I'll wait until it's my turn.
But then for Wednesday and Pugsley, I just put that they would find a child actor that represented Locke or Stock from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nice.
And then for Fester, I put Alfred Molina because yes. And
good. Also a good Latinx.
Because again, we're having it be Gomez and Fester there's the connection, so he would need to be, or doesn't need to be, but it helps. And then Grandma, I put Helen Mirren.
Well, whenever you could put Helen Mirren in anything.
Specifically though, because Tim Burton, every single witch character that he has, all of them have to be ethereal beauties that are skinny as rails.
It's true.
That's fair.
And so you can't put, even though the one that I put, if I was recasting it, I'd put Kathy Bates as grandma because that's just perfect in my head.
Oh yeah.
But, perfect. But Helen Mirren makes sense because she's still skinny as a rail and an ethereal beauty, even at, at her age, and also can stare you down and kill you with her eyes.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
generally.
Also,
Tim
she
Burton
can kill
aesthetic.
you with her mind.
Yeah.
All right, Jen?
So, picking up on a lot of things that you said, Phil, I'm going to start with Gomez. I had a list of 3 that I narrowed it down to, and I stayed within Latinx because I felt that it was important to stay there. And I settled on Javier Bardem
Oh.
Okay.
Nice.
because he's got that
Good call.
intensity, but he
Mhm.
can also be a little goofy. He's got range.
Sure.
I had Alfred Molina actually as one of my choices.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Pedro Pascal.
I'm not gonna lie. My first choice, because I was just like, when Josh sent the thing of, hey, let's cast this movie before I even knew it was going to be a Tim Burton movie.
Right.
I was just like,
This is
how-
outside of that.
yeah. How do you not put Pedro Pascal?
Yeah, Pedro
on it?
Pascal was my first choice as well, but I then
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
past and chose a different one. Is Pedro Pascal on your
Yeah.
side?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
The 91
So-
reboot, if you're going for a prettier Gomez, then yeah, it
Right.
has to be.
And that
It's
was
just-
kind of my idea was I think he would be awesome, but I think that Javier Bardem has that like edgy, kind of scary, but still can do that whimsical.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I'm down with this. Plus
I
he's
would-
also going to be in Dune. So
Right.
I would also argue that Pedro Pascal, you saw a little bit of that. Interesting. One of the only good parts of the Wonder Woman 84
Yes.
was when he started to get scary.
Yeah. It
It
was
was-
like unhinged.
Yes. It
Yeah.
was very good.
But
But
Yes.
well, you also get that from because he was. If let's go back to the zeitgeist that got forgotten, he was Oberyn Martell in Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
right. Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. All right, moving on to Morticia. I had a very kind of eclectic mix of actresses. Tracy Ellis Ross, Rose Byrne, and Salma Hayek.
Salma.
Ooh,
Yes.
Selma.
And I settled on Salma Hayek because she's got
She lives.
yeah, absolutely. She's not like naturally tall enough to be Morticia, but she's got the presence
Mhm.
and she's got the like oomph and va boom that Morticia needs. And she's got the range to be Morticia. She can be that empathetic, caring, but also scary and, whatever. So Salma Hayek was my choice for Morticia. Wednesday, I chose Anya Taylor-Joy. Most recently, she's been the star of The Queen's Gambit.
Mhm.
She's
Oh,
got
yeah.
that like otherworldly, odd countenance that Wednesday just has to have. And as I mentioned earlier, Finn Wolfhard, who did the voice for the 2019 film, I didn't know that. I was just like, perfect. He'd be great. He'd be a great, counterbalance to Wednesday. Uncle Fester, Jack Black.
Oh,
I mean,
I
thought
thought about him too. I thought about
but
that.
I didn't settle on that just because I feel like Uncle Fester, Tim Burton is going to go slightly edgier than goofier. And I feel like if you want a pure humor energy, then you go with Jack Black. If you
Yeah.
just want him to be pure comic relief every time you see him, then absolutely go with Jack Black.
Yeah.
But
So my casting is based on the 60s TV show.
okay.
Yeah. Tim Burton would never cast Jack Black. Then my other idea for Uncle Fester is Lee Ehrenberg, which I have to remember what's
gotta check the D.
Yeah, hang on.
That's why I always write down where they were in my notes.
Yeah, I
Like,
started to
what
do
they
that and
played
then
in.
I didn't. Okay, he was in Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
What was?
Yeah, hang on. I'm getting there.
Hang on, I'm still scrolling.
Scrolling the D.
I'm scrolling. I hate you. Not you. You.
I'm not sure who that you was.
I think it's her phone.
It's
Okay.
it's the D.
It's the D.
She hates
See,
the
she
D.
just
I
called
hate
it
the D. Well, it's not. This is why I don't like it because, okay, so you are,
I always just hit full cast.
well, I hit full cast and then it didn't show it to me. So I'm going, oh, he was also in 1066 and American Gods.
Pintle.
Once Upon
The
a
guy-
Time.
You're talking about the guy that takes, not the guy that takes the wooden eye out, but the other guy that plays off of him.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
Oh,
yes.
okay. He's one of the
Yeah.
two that
He's a
show up
character.
in, like,
He's a
all the
character
movies.
actor.
He's
Yeah.
very much
He's
a character actor. Yeah.
He's a character actor, but I thought he would be fun as Uncle Fester.
Okay.
Lurch. I had Richard Mall as one of my choices.
Bull from Night Court.
Yes.
Nice.
And Bruce Spence. Hang on. He was in Mad Max. He's kind of he also looks a lot like let's see. In Mad Max he was
Oh, the guy who wants the
he's like the
petrol.
really tall
Yeah.
guy who wears glasses. He
Oh.
looks a lot like the 60s TV actor that played Lurch. Cousin It, the voice of Cousin It, Melissa Villaseñor.
Nice. I like it.
And Grandmama, I just put Helena Bonham Carter because who doesn't fucking love her in a role like that where
Well,
she just gets to be crazy and over the top.
And that's one of the few things we talked about this morning because you were like, Helena Bonham Carter is too old to play Morticia. You're like, but oh no, she's too short to play Morticia. And all of a sudden she goes, but Grandma would be perfect.
Yep.
Well, and it also depends on which iteration of the Addams Family you're going with. Because if you're going by the 60s TV show, Morticia is shorter than Gomez in the TV show. So
That's true. Fair?
So when you sent this off to me, I was, I think I was pretty much in bed already. Like a few days ago when you sent this to me, it's like, cast this. And then like 2 hours before the episode, you were like, cast it with Tim Burton. I'm like, oh no. I've got part of
I was
cast.
like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, so I have, like, when you said cast this, the first time you said cast this, I kind of blew off Wednesday and Pugsley because I'm not up on my child actors.
Right.
And then when you said it's going to be called Wednesday and it's Tim Burton, so cast this, and I was like, oh fuck. Well, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm still not going to cast Pugsley and Wednesday. We can find good child actors somewhere.
they exist. We'll find them.
They're out there. We'll find them. The first person that actually popped into my head, like while I was like watching TV, watching movies, I saw that the actor pop up. The character that casting is Lurch, and it was David Harbour. Stranger Things, Suicide Squad, the most recent Hellboy. In Stranger Things, he was the cop.
The cop,
dad. Yeah. No? Everybody's kind of scratching their heads.
No.
No, I know who you're talking about.
Have you gotten there?
Well, you do. We don't.
Okay.
Harbour, I believe.
He was in the newsroom. He was Elliot
in the newsroom. He was in lots. He's been in lots of stuff.
Yeah, Elliot in the newsroom.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew who that is.
Like with the beard. I was like, if you shave the beard, he's a pretty tall, like statuesque dude.
Yeah.
Like you would be a pretty good Lurch. And I just saw him. I'm just like, I should make him Lurch. And what was I watching? I was actually watching
Show full of liberals. Bring up an Aaron Sorkin show.
Right. how about the Equalizer? Like he was one of the bad guys
I
in
know
the
who he is.
Equalizer.
No, is he
he
in
was also-
WandaVision? Is he the
He's
commander?
the general in WandaVision. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, he is, and I totally missed that myself.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
See, I was gonna go with he was Kinsey from the Kinsey movie.
Yeah, he was in Kinsey. Yeah, I saw all these things, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I've seen Kinsey, but if I bring that up, that might be way too obscure for the people that are watching. Being the TV guy here, for Gomez, obviously my first pick was Pedro Pascal, and then like literally in the 45 minutes before the episode started, while I was hanging out here with Josh, I was like, nah, I should find somebody else, and I just started like going through like Latinx actors, and I couldn't help myself. I saw the image pop up, and I was just like, it's got to be fucking John Leguizamo.
I thought about that.
On there.
I thought about that because he's fucking amazing. I love him.
What haven't you seen? What have you seen John Leguizamo in that you didn't like?
Right.
There was a
The
zombie
best.
movie that I saw him in that he was the best character in the movie. I didn't like the rest of the movie, but
Okay, so this is funny that you just asked that question.
I know because
Because
I've watched
I know Phil's
both you
answer,
and Phil just like
and I know my answer because we both fucking love John Leguizamo. And Phil's gonna say Moulin Rouge, and I will say The Pest.
I didn't mind his character in Moulin Rouge. I didn't especially like Moulin Rouge. So
He was at that.
But
point.
no,
An unconscious
Leguizamo
Argentinian
is-
fell through my roof. He was shortly followed by a dwarf dressed as a nun.
John Leguizamo is good in everything, but he's very much a character actor. And if you're going for Gomez having the ability to steal a scene from the actresses from the actors that you mentioned, like
Specifically, yes. Yeah.
He
I've
doesn't
only mentioned one other actor, so it's not like he's stealing much.
Right, fair.
Okay,
No,
then let's hold off until he says his Morticia, and then disagree with him because she'd steal the scene.
Oh,
from
you guys are gonna be so pissed off at me and my Morticia.
Let's see.
I chose Kristen Stewart.
Not bad.
Okay,
actually.
not bad. I don't mind that.
And if you haven't seen Underwater,
She's
Underwater and the new Charlie's Angels should be the reasons why Kristen Stewart got redeemed from Twilight.
Underwater was great.
Also, it's not Kristen Stewart's fault that Twilight was the shit fest.
And
it was in fact her fault for having an affair with her director during Snow White. That is her fault.
Okay, fine, but because of Twilight, she can do that goth look.
Yes,
she is Morticia.
Well, and I think she's a decent actress. I do, and I think she could do Morticia. Absolutely. I'm not sure. The only pause that I have is I think she's a good actress. I think she could do Morticia. But I think that she doesn't have the depth that I would want for Morticia, because I think Morticia is such a okay, this is me because I love that character so much, but I think that there is so much to that character that it's difficult for an actress to portray.
I think it's going to be difficult for anybody, but I think that putting her on the set,
I think those are good choices for a show called Wednesday. No, again, because the focus is going to be on Wednesday.
Hang
so
on.
Gomez and Morticia shouldn't necessarily steal scenes.
Hang on, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Because I still have Fester and Grandma, and if you put Kristen Stewart in with the rest of these actors, I think she will rise to the level of the people that she's working with.
Underwater 100% convinced me of that. She is phenomenal in Underwater.
For Fester, I chose Mark Strong, who was Merlin in Kingsman, who was Lord Blackwood in Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot of intensity.
He was Sinestro in Green Lantern.
Yep.
He was also
Once again, not as bad as it could have been.
He was
not
also
as bad as people say it is.
Shazam and Kick-Ass, which are on the list.
Yes.
I guess my question is, how do you
He's
get
in Kick-Ass? We got to do that. Let's do it.
Well, we have to talk about that.
Sorry, what were you saying, Phil?
How do you? My only issue is that even in the original comics, though, there's a level of humor and mirth that I don't get from Mark Strong's performances.
Did you not watch Kingsman?
Yeah, Kingsman as Merlin, he had his moments of I'm just being a little goblin right now.
Yeah.
I've tried very hard to find Kingsman and I can't get access to it. It's not on any of the ones that I can stream.
It's on the
we have Golden Circle on the Vudu. We don't have the original on the Vudu.
Yeah.
We need to add the original.
And I wanted to watch the original.
He's still in the
first.
second one too.
Right. No, we gotta add we gotta add
the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shazam, Kick-Ass. Now, and then for Grandma, I looked at Grandma and I went, how do you not take Betty White and put her with a really haggard, pull her hair, just pull her hair down.
Make her look like people think her ages.
Yeah.
So for the 60s TV show, spot fucking on. She would be amazing because it's just like, I'm going to fucking poke holes in everything you got. And
take her the way she is now and just take her makeup away. And she's perfect. I mean, because she did voice acting in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
She got
she's still going strong.
Yeah, she got a spoken word Grammy in 2012.
Yeah.
She's had the longest career of any actor or actress in television history.
Yes.
And how do you not just be like, this is because we have no idea how old Granny
just
is.
Celebrated
in the
her
96 or 7.
3rd. I thought it was 93rd. I could be
born in 1922.
Or Wikipedia.
So it would
99th birthday.
Yeah. Well, also, if we're going to cast people who aren't actors, my grandmother. Holy crap. My grandmother turned 100 last December, and on a Zoom call with my my dad and my grandmother, she said, "Oh no, I am the funniest,
If
and
we're-
I am the oldest person here,
Right.
so I get to tell you what's funny."
If we're casting non-actors, I'm casting your mom, and your mom will just sit there, and I will not give her a script. I'm just going to get her reactions to what people are saying in the Addams
For
Family.
what? For grandmama?
For grandmama. And then she will just like say something, and it'll be the star like comments. Because, like, on the surface, it might seem like, oh, that's pretty kind. And underneath, people from the South would be like, that bitch destroyed you.
I learned from the best.
I know. The mighty ISIS.
But yeah, that's what all I really got time to cast, and that everything else was kind of the reason why I stuck Kristen Stewart in the middle of that, because I think with all of that other influence around her, I think she will play the perfect
Who was your
Morticia.
Wednesday?
That's fair.
Oh,
I
you said
I did not have a Wednesday or Pugsley.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Okay. So I started with the idea that I thought everyone would cast Pedro Pascal as Gomez because there's been a huge movement online.
Sure.
Same with Christina Ricci as Morticia. A bunch of people have been saying,
Sure.
whatever your new iteration is, just make her the new Morticia.
I don't agree with that, but yeah, sure.
Right. So I took those off the table. So for Gomez, I did Diego Luna. And
all right.
Diego Luna was Cassian Andor in Rogue One. He was in Y Tu Mama Tambien.
Okay.
He's a very, very good Latinx actor.
Okay.
Also,
He was in Milk.
Yes, he was in Milk. Jen, you will be happy with this Morticia. I think it's time for Mila Jovovich to really
Damn! Good idea.
Step up and really do the acting chops that she can do.
After
I know.
Hellboy,
I think I've brought Josh over. He was just like, "No, Resident Evil is trash. Yes, it's trash, but
it's fun trash.
Hellboy.
It's fun trash.
Hellboy.
Hellboy. Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
Well, yeah.
She can do it.
I mean,
she can
Fifth
do
Element
it.
is just kind of that thing that you put on the shelf and just kind of want to like pull out and just be like, Fifth Element. No, that's fine. We're not going to reference the Bible. We're gonna we're gonna come out and say the most recent Hellboy, which should have gotten a sequel because it was so fucking good.
Right. No, I think that's a good choice. She's solid.
Well, the other thing is that Charlize Theron did the voice in the cartoon movie. Really, for me, what I have learned is if you want Charlize Theron, but you want her to be creepier, you get Mila Jovovich. Like that to me just makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the aesthetic.
Yeah.
The only
what's that?
I was just gonna say the only other person that was playing in my head to also be Morticia would be Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, short. You would have to deal with the height thing.
That's not an issue, but no, I think she's.
If we've seen the Green Mile, we know we can deal with short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only it's the wrong, like her weird deadpan is wrong because it doesn't come across to me. Morticia is weird and she's like, but she's like
she's regal.
No, it's not regal. She's like the Nobel Peace Prize. Like she understands and she gets why people do things and she empathizes, and Aubrey Plaza lacks that empathy.
Oh, that's fair.
So for Wednesday, I had Millie Bobby Brown.
That was one of the ones that I chose, and then I went with the weirder looking one.
Yeah. But Millie Bobby Brown was
also Stranger Things.
Yes, yeah, Stranger Things. So I had two different Pugsleys, and they're very different directions. So I had the Latinx choice, and then I had the just kind of what's happening right now choice. So my Latinx choice is Rico Rodriguez, who was Manny in Modern Family.
Okay.
He was the kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a little old for it, but he'd have to play younger. And then the other choice I had was Jaden Martell. He was the only kid in Knives Out. He was the only like teenager in the family in Knives Out.
Knives Out was such a good movie.
It was. But I thought he had the chops to again do a Pugsley the way the Pugsley should be instead of just I'm a sidekick of Wednesday.
Yeah.
Fester, I think all of you are going to fucking kick yourselves for Fester because I went full Latinx Horatio Sands.
I like Horatio. The other one that I was doing in my head was Luis Guzman.
Yep, Luis Guzman would be another good
I
guy.
don't even know who
Horatio Sands was on SNL.
Yeah.
He was the fat black guy on SNL for a long
great.
time. But
the only exposure that I have to SNL is when I come over here and you're like, "Have you seen SNL?" And I'm like, "No," because I don't watch SNL.
Horatio Sands is an interesting choice. I'm not saying that he couldn't do it. I just don't get the creepy from him.
The other choice that I had recently, while we were actually finishing up The Stand yesterday, was, and I don't know the name of the actor, but whoever played Tom Cullen in The Stand.
Oh, yeah.
In the new
CBS
CBS Stand.
I've not seen it yet.
Oh, who is that actor?
It's all out now. So 9 episodes, you could just...
Yeah, I can binge it. I can take a weekend and just get through it.
Yeah, and it's very well done, but they went a very different direction with
Brad William Hank.
Thank you. Who can be it's a very problematic character, because like you look at the 90s series and they had Dauber pretending to be mentally retarded, you know, and this character did it in a way that did not feel offensive.
So he's simple, not
right. Well, and he has a whole speech that he's been taught basically about how he can't pick up on social cues. It's brilliant. I really highly recommend the new Stand series, and it's not as I guess
he also played
gruesome.
Right?
Played what?
He was one of the orcs in Bright.
Right. Yep.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't. The new Stand isn't quite as gruesome as the 90s was, so it really doesn't go more into the horror. It goes more into the effects of what's happening. And finally, my grandma Jane Fonda. I want somebody that has the depth and the gravitas of being like a well-established actress to ground the scenes that she's in. And I feel watching what's the new series with Lily Tomlin, or the Grace and Frankie.
Yeah.
Watching Grace and Frankie, she can take a scene and she can.
Yeah, she's got. Yeah.
But also, it's that role where you can give it to her and be like, Jane, it's your chance to be creepy.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Right. Be creepy. Like, go outside of your box and try something new. And I think that that's the role that you really can do that. Like, we've talked before about, like, I'd love to see Heather Graham in more things because she's kind of fallen off the face of the earth. Like, it's that kind of... Yeah. Which, by the way, Heather Graham was also in The Stand. But, you know, yeah. So that is who I had. Oh, sorry. Cousin It, who's going to do the voice of Cousin It. And that is... because of course I didn't write it down because I'm like, I'm never going to forget her name. My favorite woman on SNL.
Kate McKinnon.
Thank you, Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, but she doesn't do voices well. It's all her voice.
Yeah, but you're just going to take whatever she says and you're going to
play it back.
And actually, I was thinking, before I said Melissa Villaseñor, the Heidi, what's her name? Another SNL cast member who's the, like, what is her name? Heidi. Hang on.
Remember any.
I mean, for my money, Snoop Dogg's going to play Cousin Ed for the rest of my life.
Well, yes. Snoop Dogg and everything. Like, I watch the Go Big show because it's Snoop Dogg and Rosario Dawson. Right, judging crazy ass.
Please hold. Oh yeah, you suck.
If you don't say anything, then the noise cancellation or the silence reduction.
Future Josh, edit.
Yep.
We will.
Hey, sound engineer, you're on.
Sound engineer sucks. Such a horrible job.
You love it.
Heidi Gardner.
Oh, yeah, she does the influencer parts on Weekend
or plays
Update.
The kid.
She generally plays like younger. Yeah. No, she would be good.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So obviously there are no further comics from Charles Addams since he died in 1988.
Obviously.
For us to go on, but based on ideally no pandemic by October.
Right.
Based on this cartoon, will you go and see it in the theater? Will you wait till it streams, or will you just not be interested? Bill?
I actually really thoroughly enjoyed the newest one, the 2019 cartoon. So I'm gonna see if my kids like it, and if they like it, then that'll be hopefully one of the things that we do over the summer.
Nice.
But if that's an if, because their tastes are eclectic and brutal.
They are children. Yes.
Yes. Well, yeah. But I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and if I don't get to see it in the theaters, then I'll just watch it when it comes out, because they did such a good job. They did such a good job being faithful to both the original material and what's come since that, like, they deserve my money. I'm gonna put it that way.
Nice. Fair.
I kind of agree with Phil to a certain extent, except I don't have kids. They do deserve my money, which is kind of my new like liberal standpoint for it's like you're a business says don't tread on me flag standing flying over the top of your roof. I'm like, guess what? You don't deserve my money.
Which is sad because I really liked that place until they did that.
Anyways,
yeah,
we're not going to speak of that anymore.
Right.
But yeah, they do deserve my money. Will I remember it when it comes around to Halloween? No, because you know why? Because Dune's going to be coming out, and I will most likely be spending my money on just getting an entire theater socially distanced because this plague isn't going to be over yet by then. And just let my friends go, socially, 20 odd friends of mine go socially distance themselves throughout a massive entire theater, so that we can all watch Dune together, like 6-8 feet apart.
And what will you do when they introduce the voice gun?
I will crawl through my phone to slap Jason. Listen,
that's your one mention this episode, Jason.
It's your last mention this season.
Because it's the last episode.
Right.
Jen?
I don't have to worry about the pandemic. Hell yes, I'm doing anything I can and everything outside of my house.
We're going to see Dune!
I am going to do everything I can that leaving and being in crowds, yes.
We're getting one of those ridiculous, go see whatever movie you want to see, whatever you want to see, it passes.
But aside from that, yeah, I'd love to see it in the theater. I would probably see it in the theater. I would probably see it streaming. It's something that I love, so I will see it however I can get it.
I mean, if the next one's as good as the first one was, then yes. I will give it my highest movie rating of pay to see it in the theater twice.
Yeah. Right, and same. I didn't see the first one in the theater because we were worried, what it was going to do and what it was going to be, and we were waiting for it to stream. Then the pandemic hit, and then it hit Amazon, and we watched it and really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, this is definitely something that I want to see. And the Netflix series, I'm definitely going to give that a shot as soon as it comes out, because they canceled Sabrina, you fuckers.
Sabrina, no.
And I do Sabrina, yes. And I do hope that since it's called Wednesday, I do hope that it has that Sabrina kind of focus and flair to it, being a Tim Burton property. Kind of how Beetlejuice was all about Winona Ryder's character. Mm-hmm. I would love to see Wednesday be from the perspective of Wednesday.
Well, you would hope, given its title.
But who knows what people do. Phil, thank you so much for joining us, my bro.
Hey,
miss you,
my best friend. I love you. We miss you.
Love you.
You're all the way 4 hours away in Omaha, and we will have to do a big weekend once we get the shots.
Once we all get vaccinated, yeah.
Yeah, no, we have to come out. So a little bit of housekeeping. This is the last episode of season 4. Season 5 will be coming in May. We're going to take a little bit of a break to record some episodes in bulk up, but we also have a new
bonus episode.
There is the bonus episode that we will be dropping halfway through, where we will be covering everything Batman. So,
well, okay, come on.
Jesus.
Okay.
Not everything.
Most things Batman.
You have 75 years worth of comics to read.
We're not talking comics.
18 different series.
Jesus Christ, we're not talking comics. We've watched some of the 66 Batman. We're going to watch the 66 Batman movie.
I'm almost done with the entire first season of the 66 series.
We are.
Where's my bat shark repellent?
Right?
Yes.
We're going to go through the first 4 movies, so both the Burtons and the Schumachers. Then we're going to go through the 3 Nolan movies, and we are going to watch the director's cut of Batman v Superman.
The director's cut is already out. Are you talking about the ultimate cut?
The ultimate
which is due out shortly?
Yes.
Okay, but if you're going that far back to do Batman then you have to include the animated series. The original
we
animated
have
series is so good.
Bear never watched the animated series, so we did
It's so
introduce
good.
him.
And I have feelings on it
Yeah,
Yes.
we introduced him
That
to
will-
the top 15 episodes
that will be brought up during the bonus episode.
Right. So the bonus episode will drop soon. However, we do have a new show that will be coming out starting next season called Rhett Conversations. It will be me and my co-host Leah Cameron, good friend of the show, who we will be analyzing and explaining the hardest to understand, craziest, and just most ridiculous comic book storylines. We will be starting with Civil War, the first Civil War.
I just want popcorn and beer while you try and just sit there and watch you guys try and explain how Dark Phoenix is anything like good.
Okay, well, Dark Phoenix is not on our original list, but
How do you not? If you're going for the craziest comic storylines, how do you not include X-Men in space? That should be like
because
top
I'm too
two.
busy right now reading the fucking Clone Saga from Spider-Man out of the 90s. And fuck those people that recommended that one.
Man in a jean jacket.
Hashtag the 90s sucked.
Yeah,
the 90s
well,
sucked.
So did the 2000s. We're also doing Infinity Crisis, where Superboy punched reality to fix the world.
It's a hangover from the 90s.
Yeah, no, there are so many that we're going to be doing, and yes, and so the format next season, we will be releasing one episode of Rhett Conversations on one Friday, and then the following Friday, one episode of Graphically Novel to give my lovely co-hosts here a break and to keep me busy, which keeps my wife happy.
Yeah, grad school. It'll be done soon.
It's a
Grad
hell of a
school,
drug.
and then it'll be over. We can keep on the every other weekend schedule, so Jen and I can hang out and drink on the weekends like we used to.
Yay!
But anyway, those are our two big announcements. Stay tuned soon for the Batman. I imagine you're going to see that probably late March. And then we will be coming back. We do not have our entire schedule yet. We have to do that actually very soon. Hopefully right after we record this. Depending on... No, Bear's got to go. But we do have to figure that out. Until then, take it away, Vandella.
Come with me, I'll tell a story that you might have heard before. Graphically novel, but the same old trouble. Villains always knocking at the door. Pretty pictures on the page, but nothing ever stays the same. Do 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 do. Come at me, and I'll show you something you ain't never seen before. Right or wrong, or can't we all just get along? My mask is no different than yours. Pretty pictures on the screen, but nothing's ever as it seems. Do 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 do. Hero or villain, loved or hated by millions. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but you don't want to see my